My wife exiled me at dinner in front of everyone. This day is for my mother, not for you to ruin with your questions. 30 people watched in silence. My daughter wouldn't look at me. I walked out without a word. 1 week later, my daughter collapsed. The hospital told me her insurance had been canceled. Then my bank sent an alert I never authorized. My name is Owen Barrett. I'm 46 years old. I work as a project manager for a commercial construction firm in Denver. I've spent 2 decades building things, buildings, teams, a family. That night, I watched it all collapse in under 60 seconds. The dinner was at Patricia's house in Cherry Hills, my mother-in-law's 70th birthday. The whole family gathered. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Vanessa's sister flew in from Phoenix. 30 people packed into that oversized dining room with its chandelier and catered food. I was already seated when it happened. Vanessa stood up, tapped her wine glass like she was about to make a toast. The room went quiet. "Before we start," she said, her voice steady, rehearsed, "I need to address something." She looked directly at me. "Owen, you need to leave." I blinked, smiled, thinking it was some kind of joke. No one else smiled. "This day is for my mother," Vanessa continued, "not for you to ruin with your questions. You always notice things. You make people uncomfortable." I looked around the table. 30 faces, none of them surprised. They knew. They all knew this was coming. "Vanessa," I said slowly, "what are you talking about? Don't make this harder than it has to be." I turned to my daughter. Kaylee was 16. I'd coached her soccer team, taught her to drive, held her when she cried about things she wouldn't tell her mother. She was looking at her plate. "Kaylee." She didn't look up. "Mom's right, Dad." Her voice was small. "You always make things weird." The words landed like a fist to the chest. I looked back at Vanessa, at Patricia sitting at the head of the table, expression neutral, at Vanessa's sister, arms crossed, waiting for me to leave. No one spoke. No one defended me. I understood then. This wasn't a conversation. It was an execution, planned, coordinated, and witnessed. I stood slowly, pushed my chair back. 18 years, I said quietly, and this is how it ends, at a dinner table, in front of everyone. Vanessa's jaw tightened. "Don't be dramatic." I didn't respond. I walked past the table, past 30 silent witnesses, past my daughter who still wouldn't look at me. At the door, I paused. "Happy birthday, Patricia." She didn't answer. I walked out into the October evening, got in my car, and drove away. I didn't know where I was going. A hotel downtown, anywhere that wasn't there. In the rearview mirror, the house grew smaller. Warm light spilling from windows, laughter starting up again. They'd already moved on. I spent that night staring at a ceiling I didn't recognize, replaying every word. The questions. She'd said I asked too many questions, made people uncomfortable. What questions? What did I notice that I wasn't supposed to? I didn't sleep. I just lay there, turning it over and over. By morning, I still didn't have answers, but I would.
The hotel room smelled like industrial cleaner and stale air conditioning. I sat on the edge of the bed without turning on the lights, listening to the hum of the city outside. I should have been angry. Part of me was, but mostly I felt hollowed out, like something essential had been scooped from my chest and thrown away. 18 years. I kept coming back to that number. 18 years of showing up, of building a life, of believing I was part of something real. And Kaylee, the way she wouldn't look at me, the way her voice sounded rehearsed, like she'd been coached. "You always make things weird, Dad." When did my daughter started seeing me that way? My phone buzzed. Vanessa, we should talk tomorrow. Please don't make this worse. I read the message 3 times. Don't make this worse. As if I'd the one standing up in front of 30 people and humiliating my spouse. I set the phone face down and showered. The water was too hot. I didn't care. Sleep came in fragments. I woke before dawn with my heart pounding, convinced I'd forgotten something important. Maybe I had. I'd forgotten how much of my life ran on trust. I was pouring hotel coffee when my phone buzzed again. Not Vanessa this time. A bank alert. New device login detected on your account. I frowned. I hadn't logged in anywhere new. I opened the app, checked recent activity. Everything looked normal at first. Balances unchanged, no major withdrawals. Then I saw it. A pending authorization. Small, almost invisible. Hartley Property Solutions LLC. Authorization hold $189. My finger hovered over the screen. Hartley, Patricia's maiden name. I checked the login details. An unfamiliar device, approved 4 days ago, Monday at 2:15 p.m. Monday? I'd been in back-to-back meetings, phone on my desk, unattended during lunch. No, that wasn't possible. A memory surfaced. Patricia at our house 2 weeks ago, holding my phone. "Owen, dear, can you show me how this banking app works? Everything's so complicated these days." Vanessa laughed. "Help my mom, Owen. She's hopeless with technology." I helped, stood next to her, pointed at the screen, approved some access request without thinking. Why would I question it? Family. I sat down slowly. The questions. Vanessa said I asked too many questions, made people uncomfortable. What had I been noticing? What had I been asking about? I thought back. Small things. A credit card bill that seemed high. Patricia's business supposedly struggling, yet new furniture in her house. Vanessa defensive whenever I mentioned retirement accounts. I'd brushed it all aside, trusted that there were explanations. Maybe there were, just not the kind I wanted to hear. I called my bank's fraud department, explained the alert. The representative was calm, professional. "Mr. Barrett, I can confirm there's been an attempt to establish a new payee on your account. It hasn't completed processing yet. Can you tell me which device authorized it? I can't provide specific details over the phone, but I'd recommend freezing your credit and changing all passwords immediately." I did everything she said. Every click felt surgical, necessary. When I finished, I stared at the confirmation screen. My phone buzzed again. Vanessa again. "Did you do something with the bank? My mother is upset." I didn't answer. Instead, I opened a new folder on my phone and named it simply Proof.
1 week after the dinner, my phone rang at 6:47 a.m. I was already awake. Sleep hadn't come easy since leaving. Every night, the same loop. Vanessa's voice, Kaylee's silence, 30 faces watching me walk out. The caller ID showed Kaylee's school. "Mr. Barrett, this is Nurse Holloway at Jefferson Academy. Your daughter collapsed during first period. She's being transported to St. Luke's Medical Center." My heart stopped. What happened? "Allergic reaction, severe. She's conscious but struggling to breathe. You should come now." I was in my car before she finished talking. The drive took 11 minutes. I ran 3 red lights, parked illegally, sprinted through the emergency room doors. Vanessa was already there, her face blotchy from crying. Behind her stood Patricia, stone-faced, and next to Patricia was someone I didn't recognize. A man, mid-40s, calm, watching me with an expression I couldn't read. "Where is she?" I demanded. "They're stabilizing her," Vanessa said. "Anaphylaxis. Her EpiPen wasn't in her bag. They had to—" "I need to see her." I moved toward the nurse's station. A woman in scrubs looked up. "I'm Owen Barrett. My daughter Kaylee was just brought in. I need to see her." She typed something, frowned, typed again. "Mr. Barrett, I'm seeing a problem with the insurance on file." "What kind of problem?" "The policy was terminated 4 days ago. We'll need alternative payment arrangements before... Terminated? I turned to Vanessa. Her face went white. What did you do? I asked. I can explain. You canceled our daughter's health insurance? We were switching plans. There was supposed to be overlap. She's 16. She just collapsed from anaphylaxis, and you're telling me she has no coverage? Patricia stepped forward. This is just a misunderstanding. Derek said... Derek? The man next to her shifted, extended his hand. Derek Callahan. I've been helping Patricia with some business restructuring. There was a gap in coverage during the transition. My oversight. I apologize. I didn't shake his hand. Who are you? Why are you making decisions about my daughter's insurance? No one answered. The nurse cleared her throat. Mr. Barrett, emergency treatment for anaphylaxis without insurance typically runs between $8,000 and $15,000. If she needs to be admitted, I'll pay it, I said. Whatever it costs, bill me directly. Vanessa grabbed my arm. Owen, we can figure this out together. I pulled away. No, you wanted me out of the family, remember? You exiled me at dinner in front of everyone. You told me I asked too many questions. I looked at Derek, at Patricia, at Vanessa's tear-streaked face. So now I'm going to ask them anyway. I turned back to the nurse. My daughter, where is she? Room 7, down the hall, on the left. I walked away without looking back. Kaylee was pale against the hospital sheets, IV in her arm, oxygen tube under her nose. Her eyes fluttered open when I sat beside her. Dad? I'm here, sweetheart. Mom said you left. I did, but I came back. I'll always come back. She closed her eyes. Tears slipped down her cheeks. I held her hand and sat there in the silence. Behind me, I heard Vanessa and Patricia arguing in hushed voices. I heard Derek's name mentioned twice. Insurance canceled. Bank accounts accessed. Questions I wasn't supposed to ask. What else had they done?
2 days after the hospital, I sat across from a forensic accountant named Warren Briggs in his office on the 14th floor of a downtown Denver high-rise. I'd found him through a colleague at work. Best in the state, my colleague had said. If someone's hiding money, Warren finds it. I needed someone to find it. Warren was in his 60s, gray hair, reading glasses, the kind of calm that comes from seeing the worst of human nature on spreadsheets. Walk me through what you've noticed, he said, pen ready. I told him everything. The bank alert, the pending authorization for Hartley Property Solutions, LLC, Patricia accessing my phone 2 weeks before the dinner, the canceled insurance, and the questions. My wife said I ask too many questions, I explained, that I make people uncomfortable. I've been trying to figure out what I was noticing that made them want me gone. Warren nodded slowly. What were you noticing? Small things. Credit card statements that didn't add up. Patricia's property management business supposedly failing, but she kept buying new things. Vanessa getting defensive whenever I mentioned our retirement accounts. Did you ever confront them directly? I tried, a few months ago. Vanessa said I was being paranoid, that her mother was just proud and didn't want to admit she was struggling. And you believed her? I looked down at my hands. I wanted to believe her. 18 years of marriage. I thought I knew who she was. Warren made a note. Give me a week. I'll need access to your bank statements, credit reports, tax returns, everything from the past 7 years. Why 7? Statutes of limitations. If there's fraud, we need to establish when it started. I signed the authorization forms, handed over passwords, watched Warren's assistant make copies of everything. At the door, I paused. How bad do you think this is? Warren took off his glasses and looked me directly. Mr. Barrett, in my experience, when a family coordinates to remove someone from the table, it's not about embarrassment, it's about access. They needed you gone so you'd stop looking. I drove back to my hotel room and sat in the dark. The questions. I kept coming back to them. What had I been asking? What had I seen without realizing I'd seen it? 3 days later, Warren called. "Come to my office," he said. His voice was flat, professional, the kind of tone people use when they're about to deliver news no one wants to hear. "How bad?" A pause. Too long. "Just come in, Mr. Barrett. You need to see this yourself." I hung up and stared at the wall. Whatever he'd found, it was worse than unauthorized bank access, worse than canceled insurance. I grabbed my keys and headed downtown. The answers were waiting. I wasn't sure I was ready for them, but ready or not, I was done being the man who didn't ask questions.
Warren's office felt smaller this time. Or maybe it was just the weight of what sat between us on his desk. 3 folders, a laptop open to a spreadsheet, printouts covered in highlighted numbers. "Sit down," Warren said. I sat. "Over the past 6 years," he began, sliding the first folder toward me, "approximately $358,000 has been moved out of your joint and personal accounts." The number didn't register at first. I heard it, but my brain refused to process it. 358,000? Give or take. Warren opened the folder. Small amounts initially, a few hundred here, 1,000 there, categorized as household expenses, gifts, repairs to your mother-in-law's properties. I stared at the transaction records. Dates, amounts, account numbers, my name on all of it. I didn't authorize any of this. "I know." He slid the second folder across. "This is why." Inside was a set of formation documents for an LLC, Barrett Family Holdings, registered in Delaware 6 months ago. My name was listed as principal member. My signature was on the bottom of every page. "I never signed this," I said. "I've never even heard of this company." "Your signature appears on multiple documents, formation papers, operating agreements, and this." He pulled out a third document, a loan application for $175,000, dated 4 months ago. My name is co-signer, my signature at the bottom. The same signature I'd never written. "They forged my name," I said slowly. "It appears so. The loan was approved but not yet fully processed. If it had gone through, you'd be personally liable for the debt." I sat back, the room spinning slightly. $358,000 stolen, an LLC I never created, a loan I never signed for. "Who's behind this?" I asked. Warren turned his laptop toward me. "The LLC lists your wife as managing member. The payments went to 3 main recipients: your mother-in-law's business accounts, cash withdrawals from various ATMs, and a consulting company called Callahan Strategic Services." "Callahan," I repeated. "Derek Callahan. He was at the hospital. He's listed as the registered agent for the LLC. He's also the sole owner of Callahan Strategic Services, which has received approximately $89,000 from your accounts over the past 3 years. I thought about Derek at the hospital, his calm demeanor, his extended hand, his careful apology about the insurance gap. "Who is he?" I asked. Warren hesitated. "That's where it gets complicated." He pulled up another screen. A photograph. 2 college students at a party, arms around each other. The woman was younger, but unmistakable. Vanessa, 20 years ago. The man beside her was Derek Callahan. They dated at University of Colorado, 3 years, ended just before she met you. The room went very quiet. I stared at the photograph, at my wife's smile, at the man she'd apparently never let go of. There's a certain kind of betrayal that changes everything, not just what you know, but how you see. Suddenly, every memory shifts, every moment gets re-examined. If you're still listening, stay close, because sometimes the people hiding truths from you are the ones sleeping beside you, and the only defense is to keep asking questions. "There's more," Warren said. Of course there was.
Warren pulled up another document on his laptop. Bank records, wire transfers, dates circled in red. Derek Callahan has no actual consulting business, he explained. No clients besides your family. No revenue streams besides what came from accounts linked to you. He's not a consultant. He's a recipient, someone your wife and mother-in-law have been funneling money to for years. I thought about Patricia introducing him at the hospital, the way he'd stepped forward with practiced ease, the way Vanessa hadn't seemed surprised to see him there. "How long has this been going on?" I asked. "The financial transfers started 6 years ago, small at first, but the pattern suggests they've been in contact much longer." 6 years. Kaylee would have been 10. We'd just bought the house in Lakewood. I'd gotten my promotion. We were building a life, while my wife was building something else. Were they... I stopped. The question felt pathetic, obvious. Warren's expression was carefully neutral. "I can't prove a romantic relationship, but the financial entanglement and the history suggest something beyond professional consultation." I closed my eyes. The questions. That's what Vanessa had said. "You always ask too many questions. You make people uncomfortable." Now I understood. I'd been noticing things, asking about discrepancies, getting too close to the truth they'd been hiding for years. They didn't exile me because I was embarrassing. They exiled me because I was dangerous. "What do I do now?" I asked. Warren closed his laptop. "You file a police report for identity theft and fraud. You notify the IRS about the LLC, since you almost certainly didn't report any of this on your taxes. You get a divorce attorney with forensic accounting experience, and you protect whatever assets they haven't touched yet. Will I get the money back? Some of it, maybe, if there are assets to recover, but realistically, you're looking at a long legal battle and partial recovery at best." I stood up, walked to the window. Denver stretched out below, normal and indifferent. "My daughter," I said. "She doesn't know any of this. She's 16, old enough to understand if you decide to tell her. If I tell her, it destroys her relationship with her mother." "Mr. Barrett," Warren's voice was gentle, "that relationship is already built on lies. The question isn't whether it gets destroyed. It's whether your daughter deserves the truth." I didn't answer. That night, I sat in my hotel room with Warren's folders spread across the bed. Every page was evidence. Every document was proof. My phone buzzed. An unknown number. "Mr. Barrett, we should talk. There's been a misunderstanding. I'm sure we can work this out privately. Derek." I read the message twice. Then I screenshotted it and added it to the folder named Proof. "Have you ever discovered that someone you trusted was never who they claimed to be? That the person beside you had been wearing a mask for years? I had, and I was done pretending I hadn't seen it. Tomorrow, I would file the police report, contact the IRS, hire the attorney. But tonight, I sat with the weight of knowing exactly what my family had become." The coffee shop was deliberately public. Downtown Denver, mid-morning, surrounded by strangers working on laptops and sipping overpriced lattes. Neutral ground. Witnesses everywhere. Vanessa arrived 12 minutes late. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Good. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around a cup she didn't drink from.
"Thank you for meeting me," she said quietly. I didn't respond, just waited. "My mother is terrified," she continued. "The bank called her, something about an internal review, and Derek says you've been digging into things you don't understand." "Derek says a lot of things." Her eyes flickered. "Owen, this has gotten out of control. We can fix this. We can explain everything if you just—" "I'm recording this conversation," I said. I placed my phone on the table between us, screen up, visible. Her face went pale. "Why?" "Because facts matter, and memories change when consequences show up." She swallowed hard, looked around the coffee shop, then nodded slowly. "What do you want to know?" "Tell me about Derek Callahan." Silence stretched between us. "He's helping my mother with her business." "Try again." "Owen, he's received $89,000 from accounts with my name on them. He's the registered agent for an LLC I never created. He's listed on loan documents with my forged signature." I leaned forward. "Try again, Vanessa. The truth this time." Her hands tightened around her cup. "We dated in college, before I met you. When my mother's business started failing 3 years ago, I reached out to him. He said he could help restructure things." "And you believed him?" "He has an MBA. He seemed legitimate." "He has an LLC with no clients and no revenue except what comes from you. That's not legitimate. That's theft." Tears started forming in her eyes. "It wasn't supposed to go this far." "How far was it supposed to go? The $358,000 Warren found? Was that the plan? Or were you aiming higher?" She flinched. "I didn't know it was that much." "You didn't know." I repeated the words slowly. "You've been transferring money for 6 years and you didn't know how much?" "Derek handled the details. He said it was just temporary help until my mother business recovered." "Her business that closed 2 years ago." Vanessa looked down at the table. "The LLC in Delaware," I continued. "The one with my forged signature. Whose idea was that?" "Derek's." Her voice cracked. "He said it would help with taxes, that you'd benefit too eventually. By being listed on documents I never saw. By being liable for debts I never agreed to." "I thought you'd understand if you knew the full picture," she said desperately. "My mother built her whole life around that business. When it failed, she was going to lose everything. So you decided to take everything from me instead." The tears spilled over now, real ones. "I never meant to hurt you." "But you did. Every time you chose them over me. Every time you let Kaylee disrespect me. Every time you transferred money you knew I hadn't approved." My phone buzzed on the table. A text from Warren. "Police report filed. IRS notification sent. You're official." I picked up the phone and ended the recording. "What happens now?" Vanessa asked, her voice small. "Now you deal with the consequences. The police report, the IRS inquiry, the divorce proceedings that start Monday." "Divorce?" "You exiled me from the table, Vanessa, in front of everyone. You told them I was the problem." I stood up. "I'm just making it official." I walked out into the Denver morning. Behind me, she called my name once. I didn't turn around.
2 weeks later, I drove back to Cherry Hills. Patricia's house. The same house where I'd been exiled in front of 30 people. The same dining room with its chandelier and carefully arranged seating. This time, I hadn't been invited. I'd received a text from Derek the night before. "We should meet, discuss a resolution. Patricia's house, Sunday, 4 p.m. Family will be there." A threat dressed as an olive branch. I parked on the street, walked through the gate I'd walked through 100 times before. The backyard was set up for another gathering, smaller this time, just the inner circle. Vanessa, Patricia, Derek, Vanessa's sister from Phoenix. They all turned when I appeared. "Owen!" Derek stepped forward,
hand extended. "I'm glad you came. I think we can work this out." I didn't shake his hand. Instead, I pulled a folder from my bag and set it on the table. The sound was small. The effect wasn't. "What is that?" Patricia demanded. "Documentation," I said, "of everything done in my name over the past 6 years." I opened the folder. $358,000 removed from my accounts, funneled through an LLC I never created, used to pay for a business that doesn't exist anymore and a consultant with no credentials. I pulled out another document. A loan application for $175,000, my name as cosigner, my signature forged. Derek's expression hardened. "You're misunderstanding the situation." "Am I?" I looked him directly. "You dated my wife in college. You never really left, and for 6 years you've been draining my accounts while pretending to help her mother." Vanessa grabbed the edge of the table. "Owen, please, not here." "Where should we discuss it? At another table I'm not allowed to sit at?" Patricia's voice rose. "This is family business." "This is fraud," I corrected. "Identity theft, financial abuse. The bank has opened an investigation, the IRS has been notified, and criminal charges are being filed." The backyard went silent. Derek recovered first. "This could all go away if you just release the credit freeze. We can handle this quietly." Quietly. Like you handled stealing from me, like you handled forging my signature, like you handled canceling my daughter's insurance during a medical emergency. Vanessa's sister spoke up. "Insurance? What are you talking about?" "Ask Vanessa. Ask her why Kaylee ended up in the emergency room with a $12,000 bill because her coverage was terminated." The family erupted. Overlapping voices, accusations, Patricia trying to speak over everyone. Through it all, I stood quietly, watching the structure collapse. Finally, Patricia's voice cut through. "What do you want, Owen?" I met her eyes. "I want my name removed from everything you've attached it to. I want written confirmation that no one here will use my identity, my credit, or my access, ever." "And if we do that?" Derek asked carefully. "Then I pursue civil remedies only against Vanessa, no criminal charges against her personally, just divorce and financial separation. Your mother faces whatever the investigators decide." Patricia's face went white. "Owen!" "You orchestrated this, Patricia. You accessed my phone. You helped forge my signature. You don't get protection." "And me?" Derek's voice was cold now. "You face whatever the prosecutor decides. That's non-negotiable." I closed the folder and picked it up. "You have until Friday to provide the documentation. After that, everything goes forward. All of it." I turned and walked toward the gate. At the street, I looked back once. They stood scattered across the yard, the family that had exiled me. The table I'd been removed from. Would you have walked back in with that folder? Or walked away forever? I got in my car and drove away. The table could stay. I was done eating there.
The courtroom was smaller than I expected. Fluorescent lights, wooden benches worn smooth by years of difficult truths. I sat in the gallery, watching Derek Callahan at the defendant's table. His expensive suit couldn't hide the fear in his eyes. Vanessa sat 3 rows behind him. She'd signed an immunity agreement 2 weeks earlier. Full testimony against Derek in exchange for avoiding criminal charges herself. Patricia sat beside her, face drawn. Her own hearing was scheduled for next month. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Linda Vasquez, called me to the stand. I'd been preparing for this moment for months, with Warren, with my attorney, going over every document, every transaction, every forged signature. Under oath, I walked through it all.
The unauthorized bank access, the LLC I never created, the $358,000, the loan applications with my forged name. Derek's attorney tried to rattle me during cross-examination, suggested I'd been aware of the transactions, that I'd benefited from tax advantages. I didn't waver. "Mr. Barrett," the attorney asked, "isn't it true you're doing this out of revenge against your ex-wife?" "No," I said calmly. "I'm doing this because identity theft is a crime, because $358,000 isn't a misunderstanding, it's systematic theft." The jury's expressions told me everything I needed to know. When I stepped down, I felt something shift. Not relief, not yet, but clarity. 3 days later, the verdict came back. Guilty on all counts. Derek Callahan faced 7 years in federal prison. Patricia's hearing came the following month. Plea bargain, 3 years probation, full restitution, permanent ban from business registration in Colorado. Vanessa and I signed divorce papers on a Tuesday morning in January. Shared custody of Kaylee, clean financial split, no drama, just signatures and the end of 18 years. That evening, my phone buzzed, an unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Dad, it's me, using a friend's phone. Mom took mine. I need to talk to you." My heart clenched. "Where are you? School. Can you pick me up?" I was in my car before I finished typing yes. Kaylee was waiting by the front entrance, 16 years old, my daughter, looking smaller than I remembered. She got in the car and didn't speak for 3 blocks. Then, quietly, I saw the court documents. Mom left them out. I read everything. I kept my eyes on the road. "What do you want to know?" "Why didn't you tell me? You're 16. I didn't want to destroy your relationship with your mother. She destroyed it herself." Kaylee's voice cracked. "She lied to me, Dad. She told me you abandoned us, that you chose money over family." The irony burned. "I chose truth over silence," I said. "That's not the same thing." "I know." She wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry for what I said at the dinner, for not looking at you, for believing her." I pulled the car over, turned to face her. "You didn't know the truth. You were manipulated just like I was. But I should have trusted you. You're trusting me now. That's what matters." She broke then, sobbing. 16 years of certainty crumbling into something messier and more real. I held her in that parked car until the tears stopped. Finally, she said, "I want to live with you, full time. Is that possible?" "Your mother would have to agree. And if she doesn't, then we go to court and I fight for it." She nodded slowly. "Okay, let's do that." I started the car and drove toward my apartment. Behind us, the courthouse, the lies, the family that had chosen silence over truth. Ahead of us, something harder, something better, a chance to rebuild on honesty instead of secrets.
18 months later, I stood in the kitchen of my new condo in Highlands Ranch, watching afternoon thunderstorms roll over the Front Range. Colorado doing what Colorado does best in July. Kaylee walked in from her bedroom, college acceptance letter in hand. "University of Colorado Boulder," she said, grinning. "Engineering program, full academic scholarship." Never doubted it for a second. She was 17 now, legally still a minor, but she'd aged years in the past 18 months. We both had. The custody battle had been brutal. Vanessa fought it at first, claimed I was poisoning Kaylee against her. But Kaylee was old enough for the court to consider her preference. She chose me, not because I'd asked her to, because she'd seen the truth and made her own decision. She split time between my place and Vanessa's apartment across town, though most weekends she stayed here. We'd rebuild slowly. Therapy helped. Honesty helped more. "Dad," Kaylee said, setting the letter on the counter, "can I ask you something?" "Always." The questions, the ones Mom said you kept asking, the ones that made everyone uncomfortable. She paused. What were they actually about? I'd been waiting for her to ask. 18 months and she'd never pushed. Maybe she hadn't been ready. Maybe I haven't either. I sat down at the kitchen table. She sat across from me. Small things, I said. Things I noticed but didn't understand at the time. Like what? Like why our credit card bills kept climbing when we weren't buying anything new. Like why your grandmother's business was supposedly failing, but she kept renovating her house. Like why your mother got defensive every time I mentioned our retirement accounts. Kaylee listened quietly. I asked about a transfer once, $4,000 to something called Hartley Property Solutions. Your mother said it was a loan to help Grandma with payroll. I asked why it wasn't documented anywhere. She said I was being paranoid. But you weren't. No, I was noticing patterns, money disappearing in small amounts, explanations that didn't quite fit, your mother getting nervous whenever I looked too closely at statements. So they exiled you, Kaylee said slowly, not because you were embarrassing, because you were getting close to figuring it out. They needed me distracted, removed. They couldn't risk me asking the wrong question at the wrong time. What was the wrong question? I thought back to that dinner, to the weeks before it, to the conversation I'd tried to have with Vanessa that she shut down immediately. I asked her who Derek was. Kaylee's eyes widened. When? 3 weeks before the birthday dinner. I'd seen his name on a bank statement, Callahan Strategic Services. I asked Vanessa what it was. She said it was a consultant helping her mother. I asked why a consultant was being paid from our joint account instead of her mother's business account. What did she say? She told me I was overthinking things, that I always made everything complicated. I paused. 2 weeks later, she announced I wasn't welcome at the dinner. Kaylee was quiet for a long moment. She was protecting him, she finally said, not Grandma, him. Maybe, or maybe she was protecting herself, the life she'd built with him running parallel to the life she'd built with me. Did you ever find out if they were... She trailed off. I never got proof, and after a while it stopped mattering. The money was gone either way, the trust was broken either way. Whether they were having an affair or just a financial conspiracy, the result was the same. Kaylee nodded slowly. I'm sorry I didn't believe you at the dinner. I should have asked questions too. You were 16. They manipulated you the same way they manipulated me. The difference is, when you saw the truth, you didn't look away. She smiled then, small but real. My phone buzzed. A text from Warren. Final distribution processed. $214,000 recovered from LLC liquidation and restitution payments. Case officially closed. I showed Kaylee the screen. Is that good? She asked. It's $214,000 of the $358,000 they took. Not everything, but enough. Was it worth it, all the fighting? I thought about the courtroom, the divorce, the 18 months of rebuilding, Derek serving his 7 years, Patricia on probation, her reputation destroyed, Vanessa working a modest job, visiting Derek monthly, according to Kaylee. Yes, I said finally. Not because of the money, because you learned that actions have consequences, that standing up for yourself isn't the same as being vindictive, that family isn't an excuse for abuse. I learned something else too, Kaylee said quietly. What's that? That asking questions isn't a weakness, it's how you protect yourself from people who want you to stay blind. I felt something loosen in my chest. Pride, relief, gratitude. Smart kid, I said, going to make a hell of an engineer. That evening, we drove to her favorite restaurant, just the two of us, a Thursday tradition we'd started a year ago, building new rituals to replace the old ones. At dinner, Kaylee mentioned that Vanessa wanted all 3 of us to have dinner next month. What do you think? I asked. I think we've all learned enough to sit at the same table without anyone getting erased. I looked at my daughter.
17 years old, wiser than anyone her age should have to be. I'd lost a wife, a mother-in-law, $140,000 that would never come back. 18 years of believing I was part of something real. But I'd gained something more valuable. A daughter who understands that respect isn't automatic. It's earned through honesty, through showing up, through asking the questions no one wants you to ask. And that was worth everything I'd lost. Have you ever had to lose a family to discover who truly belonged in it?